There are 23 different factors which are covered, like diet, food, exercise, rest, sleep, sunshine, mental well-being, a productive lifestyle, your emotional.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Compassion India Bulletin. I'm Nandita Kapadia, Managing Editor of Compassion India magazine, and today we feature Peter Theobald. He is an IT security consultant, a vegan, and has recently released a book, and he's going to tell us all about it today. Welcome to the Bulletin, Peter.
Hi, thanks for having me on the show.
Let's start from the beginning. Since the first challenge that you overcame 25 years ago when you became a big loser, was that what kickstarted your interest in health?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, I was reasonably health conscious. I was very chubby as a kid and I became very fit when I was around 15, 16. And then I studied to be a chartered accountant, by the way. And during the CA took me, I think, 5 years to pass everything. And I think I put on 5 kgs a year. So I was 25 kgs extra, at the beginning of the course and the end of the course, So that's a real problem. So that's what actually, prompted me to say that, I need to get going on this and do something. And I was 30 years old, I was going to get married. And what happened was that my friends were getting married and I was going for weddings and things. And just standing there, and chit-chatting and having food, standing was tiring. I really realized that I had to do something about this. So I tried a lot of stuff. I tried dieting, but it didn't work. I used to get headaches and I used to get very irritated if I was hungry. I tried exercising. I used to run 5-10 kilometers carrying dumbbells. I was young in those days, but nothing worked, because you have a bottle of Pepsi or a Coke at the end of the run and you're done for. So that's how I finally came to know that there is, it was a total accident. I was going to get married, like I said, and a friend of mine gifted me a book called Fit for Life. And I read it on a train from Bombay to Pune, and it said, hey, do this. It explained to me the whole logic. And I said, hey, this makes sense. And it's not too difficult to do because it asked me to do certain things. I was already a vegetarian in any case, so I had to make very few adjustments to my diet. And I said, let's try. And I tried, and it worked like magic. I lost 1 kg the first week and another kg the second week, and so on and so forth. And, at the end of, 6 months, I had lost a significant amount of weight, maybe 15, 20 kgs. And I was feeling a lot better. So then I realized that this thing is not just about weight loss. Weight loss is a small part of it. There's something more to it than weight loss. And that's what I got, started studying more. I attended courses, I met people, I traveled, I met the gurus in this line. And then I figured out that, this is not just science of weight loss, it's a science of health. That's what I figured out.
You have traveled to the US and you've been under the guidance of a vegan doctor. Tell us about it.
Technically speaking, the correct word is a natural hygienic doctor. So vegan is just, a part of it. That is the kind of diet you eat, a plant-based whole foods diet. When you're talking about natural hygiene, it is about the science of health, so how to be healthy. And that encompasses a lot more than just diet. There are 23 different factors which are covered, like diet, food, exercise, rest, sleep, sunshine, mental well-being, a productive lifestyle, your emotional life, your spiritual life, your hobbies. It's a whole holistic thing. So it's not just about food. The vegan is just about food. So natural hygiene proposes the whole thing. And one aspect of natural hygiene is, funnily enough, not eating food, which is fasting. So it is the original therapy, actually. So I was, in fact, under the care of Dr. David Scott in Cleveland. And with him, I did a 30-day fast on water. To be precise, 23 days continuously. And then after that, I said, no, this is too much. And I broke the fast. I had about juice for about 2 or 3 days. And thereafter, I did a further 7-day fast. So altogether, I think 30 or 31 days, I remained without water. And that was a life-altering experience. And that's what actually, it opened my eyes in the sense that, what you think is possible. Otherwise, you talk to a normal person and say, go for 30 days without food. And he'll say it's not possible. But then you realize what is the capability of the body, how much reserves it has, what all it can adapt to, and what all it can do, what kind of cleaning up, what kind of detoxification it can do in this period when you are not giving it food and you're allowing it to do extensive housekeeping. And I believe that even though I did that fast maybe 20 years ago, I'm still having the benefits of it.
Awesome. So what has been your biggest learning since the pandemic times?
See, the biggest learning the pandemic time is actually, what I would say is that, it's like your health is in your hands. You have to take charge of your health. You have to take responsibility for it. You can't pass the buck. You can't pass the buck to your doctor. You can't pass the buck to your nutritionist, to your gym trainer, to your physical fitness therapist, to your family, to anybody, to your yoga teacher or whatever. It has to be yourself. You have to take care of your health. And what you do and what you don't do, that is the final, protection, insurance. Now, in these days of COVID, what you realize is that, hey, there's a COVID, there's a, alpha variant, beta variant, delta variant, gamma variant. There's vaccines and, there's this vaccine, that vaccine. Okay, you take one dose, take a second dose, take a booster dose. It's all fine. I'm not saying anything against that. But what I'm saying is finally at the end of it all, the vaccine is not perfect. You could still get infected. It happens. There are so many breakthrough infections. So when you get infected, what happens? How does your bad body handle it? Do you recover? With what? How severe is the illness? How quickly do you come out of it? Do you have long COVID? So all these things, is only one thing determines them. That's the level of your health. So the level of the health that you have is the best insurance. It's the final determinant of how you react to the whole thing. So my learning in the pandemic is that I got to take care of my health, and I got to be focused on it, and I got to do. And it's not just one thing. It's a whole lot of things you have to do, and that's what is my realization during the pandemic. That you have to take care of your health, because your health is in your hands, and you are finally at the end of the day. That's what counts. That's where the buck stops. It stops right here with you.
Okay. When and how did you get the idea of writing a book?
Well, that's a pretty interesting question. It came to me 20 years ago, actually, when I actually started this thing. And in the first 6 months or 9 months or first 1 year, I lost all the weight. I was very enthusiastic. I thought I knew everything. I wanted to change the world. So I said, hey, I've got so much of benefit from this system. It's very important for me to pass it on. It's my duty. It's a bounden duty. It's a holy duty to pass it on. If I've got benefit, I just can't keep it to myself. I have to pass it on. I have to change the world. I have to get the world to be more healthy. So that is the whole idea. And I wrote the book, almost 20 years ago, the first draft. But, in retrospect, it's a good thing that the book was not published at that time, because I obviously didn't have the whole picture. It reminds me of the story of the 6 blind men and the elephant. And one blind man says it's like, looks at the tail and says it's like a rope. Other one looks at the trunk and says something else. Other one looks at the legs and says a pillar. Another one looks at the side and says it's a wall. So who's going to see the whole elephant? So this 20-year period has helped me to see different aspects of health, to realize that, I don't know it all. Nobody can know it all. And you have to just do your best and leave it at that. So, and certain arrogance, certain, know-it-all attitude. This is the way, this is the best way. This suits everybody. This is the thing what I did, everybody should do. All these myths got busted, because I realized that there are so many facets. Each one of us is unique. No one size fits all. So what I realize is I can give you the general principles, but you have to take it, adapt it to yourself, and then practice it on yourself, experiment, see what works for you. Something which I do may work for me, may not work for you. I may be a morning person, you may be an evening person. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you have to figure out what works for you. I might be a yoga person, you may be a Tai Chi person, or you may be a salsa person. Mm-hmm. So, you have to take it and make it yours. And only then it will work. And this is the learning of the 20 years. So I'm very glad that, 20 years later, after I got the idea of writing a book, finally I wrote the book, and it's come out, pretty well.
Okay, cool. So tell us, how did you come up with the title?
That's an interesting thing. The title is I'm Not a Doctor. And that's actually the gorilla in the room. 20 years ago, when I started talking to people and trying to convince them about their health and to change their health and change their habits and all these things, they said, hey, but you're not a doctor. So I want to make it clear right up front. Yes, I'm not a doctor. But the kind of work I have done and the kind of study I have done, the kind of practice I've done, the kind of results I've got are much better. And, I'll just give you a little example. I was planning to go on a trip next month to Ladakh with a group of doctors, and of my age or a little bit more or less here and there. And each one of those doctors had all kinds of health problems. Somebody had a bad back, he can't sit. Other person can't sleep on the ground. Other one can't sleep in a tent. Other one has got diabetes. Other one has got blood pressure. So, doctors are a very, very important part of society. But, it doesn't give you the right to, you have to still take care of your health. So what I realized is that, first of all, I better make it clear that I'm not a doctor, but still I'm giving you advice which will help you to keep yourself in better health than your doctor. The second thing which also told me is that I saw a lot of people who are in this so-called alternative space who are not really doctors. Doctors have to put in a lot of effort and study, 5 years, blood, sweat and tears to become a doctor. And that's what gives them the experience and the capability to diagnose and to treat. And there are people who do correspondence courses and people who do some kind of, go to some institute in Sri Lanka or in somewhere in some corner of Calcutta, and they get a title of doctor and they call themselves doctor and they're not really a doctor. So I wanted to, these people are trying to, sell themselves what they are not. But I'm making it very clear upfront. This is what I am. This is what I am not. Read what I have to say. Try it out. Think about it. If you think it makes sense, try it out. And if it works for you, great. It is all to your credit that you tried it and it worked and you made it your own.
So tell us from the book, what are the top 3 do's and don'ts that you want everybody to know?
Well, that's an interesting question. Actually, I'm reminded of my guru in health, Dr. K.K. Sidhwa, and he used to tell a story, and I'll tell the same story and I'll ask you the same question that he asked me. He asked me, Peter, what is the most important part of a bicycle? So what do you think, Nandita? What is the most important part of the bicycle?
The steering and the handlebars.
Yeah, the steering. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So you say steering. I asked somebody else, he says, oh, it's the brake because, if you're going fast, we want to stop. The third guy says, no, it's actually the air pressure in the tires. The fourth guy will say the light. Fifth guy will say the pedal. So actually, when my guru, Dr. K.K. Sidhwa, what he said, what is the most important part of the bicycle? It is the missing part. The one part which is not there, that is the most important part. So if there's no light on the bike and you're biking at night, then the light is not there becomes the most important part. So what is most important is the missing part. So similarly in health, what is most important is the missing part. So there are so many aspects of health, and each one is as important as the other. So I can't put them on a list and tell you this is 1, 2, 3. There's 25 of them, and all of them are equally important. You neglect any one, it's going to land you in trouble. Okay, so you need to look at your lifestyle first and figure out what is it that you're doing right, what is it that you're doing which needs change, and then for you that will become important. For somebody else, that is not important. Something else will be important. But broadly speaking, what I would say is, if you see the 3 biggest do's are, the first thing is, lead an active life. Whatever action it is, and you have to keep yourself active physically and mentally. So that is one of the most important things you got to do. The second thing is, your diet. What I have found is there are so many different diets and so many different things, but I find that a plant-based whole foods diet is really, really, helpful. And this is what is the second do I would say. And the third do I would say is fiber. Fiber is the key. You need to increase the amount of fiber in your diet. The kind of health benefits you can get from fiber are simply amazing. So these are 3 things I would say are the do's, but like I said, I put the caveat before that, it's only each one is as important as the other. If you look at the don'ts, well, the number 1 don't I would say is overeating. We tend to eat unconsciously, and we tend to eat all kinds of times. We eat for emotional reasons. We eat for, we are angry, we eat, we are happy, we eat, we are sad, we eat, we're depressed, we eat, we're just bored, we eat, we're watching TV, we eat. So it doesn't require it. So you have to become conscious of your eating. So this unconscious eating, overeating, that is one thing which is a big don't. Yeah, the second point I want to make is that, we need to move away from the whole refined and processed food bandwagon, in the sense that, the amount of natural food we are eating is just too much. People say, before you buy a food, read the label, see what the label says. I say if the food has a label, avoid the food itself. Don't bother about the label at all. So, the amount of food we are consuming that comes in cans, jars, packets, bottles is just rising astronomically. And the amount of fresh fruits, vegetables that we are eating is gone down. So we ought to make a conscious effort to shift. And that's one of the big don'ts, that don't rely upon these kind of refined processed foods too much. Once in a while as an exception, the problem is okay, it's fine. But, on a regular basis is something to be avoided. And the last thing I would say no is, complexity. We are making our lives very complex. So you say, oh, I need to have, tea with kaffir leaves. I need to have kombucha. I need to have, black corn. I need to have Yakult, or, some exotic thing. Or I need to have a very complicated diet system. I need to count calories. I need to count portions. We are complicating our lives, and we are making it difficult for ourselves to follow healthy practices. If you make something, there's a saying in China, I think, which says, you can't stand on tiptoe for the rest of your life. So if you make a system which is so complicated that you need to stand on tiptoe, and you need to keep looking at this, and you need to control yourself and have this and don't have this and do this and don't do that, and you make it so complicated that you eventually fall off the bandwagon. So I would advocate a return to simplicity. Make your life easy. Like, that's one thing I have against vegans. They make veganized versions of everything, and it's so complicated. If you want to simulate a dairy-based dessert, you have to make cashew milk and almond milk. It's fine once in a while as a treat, but if you try to do this on a regular basis, it will simply drive you crazy. So if you ask me, these are three things I would say. First of all, conscious eating. Second of all, move away from the refined foods, processed foods, and the third is go back to simplicity. Make it easy. Make it easy to follow. They say you have to have a lot of willpower to follow this system. Peter, you have a lot of will. No, actually, my willpower is very weak. It's non-existent. Chocolate is my weakness. I see chocolate, I can't resist it. So the thing I do, I make it easy for myself. So how I make it easy for myself? I don't bring any chocolate into the house at all. I don't buy. If I get a gift, it's another matter. I might have it, but I don't buy. So if I want to have food, I make sure fruits are available everywhere in my house. So you make it easy for yourself. Don't make it complicated, so that you have a better chance of success.
Awesome, Peter. Thanks a lot. I just can't wait to get my hands on that book of yours. And I'm looking forward to reading it.
It's available on Amazon. There's a print book, ebook. Go ahead, have a look. The book is called I Am Not a Doctor.
Thanks a lot for your time.
Okay. Thanks, Nandita.